Hello YouTubers, content creators, and everyone else. Welcome to the Virginia Bushcrafters channel, the channel where we continue to learn and practice all of the wonderful, great, fabulous skills of bushcrafting, prepping, and survival for the wilderness. So, welcome back everyone, and if this is your first time here, welcome as well. Alright guys, many times I have been asked, what specifically do I carry with me into the bush? When I go into the bush to practice, I'm not going to do a camping trip, because there's a difference between bushcrafting and camping. I'm not going to do a hike, which is basically distance, or I'm not going to do a day hike. Those are all separate entities. When I go into the bush, I'm specifically going into the bush to practice bushcrafting skills that will help me stay prepared and, most of all, stay safe. So I'm a very, very strong advocacy of carrying tools and practicing with your gear. So today, I want to show you my staple items that goes into the bush with me each and every time. Alright guys, let's start off first with our cover. Okay, so for me, one of the most important things is my cover. So I always bring a tarp, a 5x7, a 10x10, 9x12, whatever is your preference. My preference is a 10x10 tarp. Now, this tarp, whenever I pitch this tarp, you know there are many configurations. So I will pitch a shelter with a configuration that has a ground sheet or a ground floor. And I like to pitch it so that I am protected from three sides: from rain, sun, snow, wind, any type of hazardous weather. This is what I use my tarp for, is my cover. Now, if I pitch a configuration such as the Adirondack or the plow point, it would not have a ground sheet. So I would then bring a 5x7 tarp to use as a ground sheet. So I have something over me and around me, and a ground sheet to assist in preventing conduction, especially in the winter time. So this is the first thing. I start off with a tarp. Now, to pitch this tarp, we're going to need paracord. Now, for each tarp, I will have a ridge line already prepared with prusik knots on it, and I will have other hanks of paracord with me. Now, this paracord can serve several purposes. Not only pitching my shelter, but there's 7 strands in here inside of the paracord that I can use for a fire starter, I can use for fishing, I can use it to make a security perimeter. There are numerous things that you can do with paracord. Again, so the tarp and the paracord is used to pitch my shelter, as well as tent pegs. I always carry at least maybe 8 to 10 tent pegs. And if I need more, that is when I will use part of Mother Nature and carve. So, and I try to use the longest tent pegs that I can. In addition to along with the cordage, I will carry some jute twine. This jute twine can be used in the bush very much so because it is natural. I can use this just to bind up very light bearing items such as building a fence. And I also bring with me some bank line, number 36 bank line, and I have it on a spool. Number 36 bank line, sometimes number 21 bank line. And bank line can be used as tinder as well. But again, the bank line can be used, for example, making a tripod that is non-bearing. So again, I will bring a foam bedroll, especially in winter, but I bring this each and every time because have you ever been into the bush and you did not anticipate staying all night? I always prepare for the worst case scenario. If I have to stay all night, I want to be comfortable. So I'm going to have a shelter. I'm going to have the paracord, bank line, jute twine, tent pegs, and something to sleep on. A foam bedroll. I prefer this over anything that's inflatable, and this is just my preference. And it also makes a great sitting pad. So these are some of the things that go into the bush with me each and every time to practice, because these items are going to help keep me safe. All right, guys, you may hear me say a lot of times at the end of a video, stay safe, or in the comments, stay safe. It is not just rhetoric. It has a meaning. When you go into the bush, you want to prepare so that you can remain safe. Of course, we're going to leave a contact number. We're going to have someone to in the event of an emergency. And I personally keep the names of 2 game wardens. And in our great state of Virginia, we have to have a special pass when we are bushcrafting so that the game warden knows who is in that area. That's all a part of staying safe. But also, once you have your cover, you're going to need to build a shelter. You're going to need to prepare a fire, do some carving, and so forth. So the next thing that I carry into the bush with me is what I carry with me are cutting tools. And I start out with, most of the time, a hatchet or an axe. Now the hatchet and the axe is basically used for splitting wood. Splitting wood going along with the grain and chopping to break fibers. Also, this particular hatchet can be used as part of a hammer if I want to insert a nail down wooden tent pegs. So something that is very important is an axe or a hatchet. Again, my main purpose of using an axe or a hatchet is to split wood and to chop, delimb as well. Now, the thing about this is more or less a impact tool that I will not use at nighttime. But I think it's very important to have an axe or a hatchet. Now, if I do not carry an axe or hatchet with me, I'm going to carry another tool that is at least 10 inches in length. That tool is going to be a tool that I'm very confident that can split and chop. And again, if I'm not carrying an axe or a hatchet, I'm going to carry a tool that has a blade length of at least 12 inches. That is my preference. Again, I carry all of these tools to practice. So this is a Condor King Kukri machete. And again, I won't carry a machete and an axe or a hatchet at the same time. It's either or, and it depends on the purpose, what I'm going to practice in the bush. Now, the next thing that I carry with me in the bush always is a belt knife. Now, my preference is a belt knife that is 10 inches, the largest 10 inches, maybe down to 5 inches. But the medium is around 7 inches. Now, this knife has to be able, I have to be able to split wood, delimb, carve, make feather sticks. Most of all, it must be a full tang. My belt knife will always be a full tang knife. Okay guys, so again, when we speak of cutting tools, we need cutting tools in order to stay safe. A fire will help keep you safe. The next thing when it comes to cutting tools, it's going to be a saw. It can be a saw as small as a Baco Laplander, or it can be a saw as large as an Agawa Borel 24. Whatever saw it is, practice with it, because this saw is going to help save calories. It's going to make processing wood much easier. You can cut wood to specified lengths. You can even use a saw to help split wood just by sawing one end of the wood of the branch, going to the other end, turning it over 180 degrees, saw that, and take it, hit it against the bush floor, and it splits. So an axe or a hatchet or a machete that's 12 inches or more, a belt knife, and a saw. As well as a multi-tool. There are many multi-tools out there, but I like this multi-tool because it has scissors and it has a saw. So one of my preferences with the multi-tool is to have a saw. Now, I'll tell you one of the things I use a multi-tool for, which is very handy, is when packing up, removing the tent pegs out of the ground. This does wonders. And last but not least is a pocket knife. It doesn't have to be a huge, expensive pocket knife. My preference is to have a folder in my right pocket, and I am a fan of serrations. My pocket knife has to have serrations. So now we have our cover, we have our cutting tools, And all of this is to keep us safe. We prepare, and this helps us stay safe. So let's move on to the next component of preparation and staying safe. All right, guys, the next component that I'm going to speak on to keep us prepared and most of all to keep us safe is combustion. You have your cover, you have your cutting tools, but you need combustion. So the things that I take with me into the bush each and every time, well, I'm not going to say each and every time, for number one is a ferrocerium rod. Larger or smaller, a ferrocerium rod with a striker. Now, for a striker, you can use the spine of your saw, you can use the spine of your knife, but you want to have a method to throw sparks onto tinder. It's great to practice with this, as well as practice with flint and steel. This is a great alternative. We have the steel and we have the flint. And we place char cloth, which is cotton, and we just strike this to throw a spark on top of the char cloth. Insert the char cloth into a tinder bundle. So again, staying safe, knowing how to properly excuse me, use a ferrocerium rod, flint and steel, and if all fails, matches. Well, let's say this. If all fails, a lighter with Gorilla Tape. You're going to always get fire. And an alternative, it's very cold, your lighter doesn't work, waterproof matches will. All right, so again, combustion. Let's stay safe by being able and having more ways to throw a spark or get a flame. Now, you may go into the bush, split some wood, go to the middle. Time consuming in making kindling, feather sticks. But if you need a fire quickly, I always take as a backup some cotton balls and Vaseline. And as you can see, these cotton balls and Vaselines has not been used in a very long time, but still has Vaseline here. And as some kindling, I take some slivers of fat wood. Now, only use these in the event that I just can't get a fire started. But luckily, I've never run into that situation because I practice and prepare to stay safe. So that's on combustion. So we have to have our tarp, we have to have our cutting tools, and we have to have something to start a fire, combustion. And the next component that we need, we cannot do without. Okay, now in maintaining our safety, something that we must have is water. It's always good to bring water with you. Never start off empty. So there are many methods or containers that you can use to source water. There are many methods of filtering water, methods of purifying water. But at a minimum, again, this is all about practicing. So one of the great things I have is the Grayl GeoPress. I can filter and purify water. And to complement that, I can even, if necessary, I can boil the water with a nesting cup. A set, complete set. Again, filter and purify. Now, one thing that I like to do is have a container for the dirty water. I would bring an empty 40-ounce Kleen canteen so that if I have to source water, I can put a bandana over the mouth of the container, fill it up, I can even boil it in here, let it cool down, run it through the Grayl, because by boiling it first, it's going to allow me to have a longer life cycle of my filter on the Grayl. And if I want to go a step further, once this has been boiled and it's run through the Grayl, I can always drop aqua tablets in it, staying safe. Also, another thing when we speak of containers, let's think about cooking. Cooking is a skill that you have to practice in the bush. You don't have your electric or gas stove in the bush. So learning to cook on flames and coals, that is a skill. So I always take some type of cooking mess kit, whether it's this one that has a skillet, a top that can be used as a plate, a pot with a top that I can boil water, cook with it, as well as small little cup, and always utensils. Now, a lot of times I would use a plastic utensil or a spork. What's the advantage of having metal utensils? Push come to shove, I can dig with these if necessary. Spoon, fork, and a knife. So guys, again, the container, very, very important. You can have one container, you can have two containers. It's all about practicing to stay safe in the bush. And let me just say this about staying safe. When you're in the bush and it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, your contact person knows where you are. You have the game warden's phone number. They know you're there. Who's coming to help you within 5 minutes, within 3 minutes, within 10 minutes? You are self-reliant. Staying prepared will allow you to stay safe. So let's move on to other things that I take into the bush just to practice with. Okay, something that I think is very important that goes into the bush with me each and every time is a compass. Why a compass? Well, that compass is going to always let me know which direction I'm going. Now, the compass that I use is the Sun 2 MC Sun 2. This compass will allow me to identify something, identify a mark. I am able to place my bearing, which is the direction I'm going in, and walk that straight line. So I will always know which direction I'm going in, and I know I'm coming out the other direction. Now, this does take practice, because you can shoot an azimuth, you can walk to a tree. Now, whether your azimuth was in the center of that tree or the left or the right does make a difference. This is something that requires practice. So, another good thing about this compass is that it has a magnifying glass as well as a mirror that can be used for signaling. It can be used for checking yourself. And again, it has a ruler and it has yards on it. It even has something that I have not used, is you can tell how tall a tree is or a hill. But of utmost importance is a compass, because this compass is going to tell you the direction you're going in and the direction you're coming back. It's not going to tell you where you are, because that's what a map does. But the compass, some type of navigation tool, is very important. If you are not comfortable yet with a compass, there are other devices such as a GPS. This GPS has been used since 2008. The thing I like about this, it will take you wherever you go, wherever you want. You can set waypoints, and it's going to bring you back. It may not bring you back the same direction, but it's going to bring you back to where you started or where you want to go. But this requires batteries that you must check every 30 days, whereas a compass just requires practicing and learning it. Navigation, very important. Practice it in the bush. Prepare, practice, stay safe in the bush by using a compass. So let's move on to the next item that I take into the bush with me each and every time to help keep me safe. Okay, something else that helps keep me safe in the bush is a bandana or a shamag or a large cotton t-shirt. My preference again is an orange bandana. As a matter of fact, I carry 2 of them with me. The reason I carry 2 of them with me is because they can be used for waypoints. If I want to walk away from my camp, as long as I can see an orange bandana, I know where I am. But also, this bandana can be used as tinder. You can make char cloth out of it. You can use it to clean your dishes. You can use it in first aid. You can cut a piece, wrap it around you to stop bleeding. You can use it to gather kindling, placing it in the bandana, wrapping it a certain way to carry your kindling. The bandana can be used to just go around your neck to keep the cold or keep the heat in your body. There are numerous things that you can do with this. Again, this is cotton, and always a bandana or a shamag, and if necessary, just a t-shirt. But you want to go with the colors of orange, pink, or even maybe yellow. So bandana, very, very important. Help keep you safe in the bush, a bandana. And one other thing to mention about a bandana helping to keep you safe is removing items from the fire. Comes in very, very handy if you want to remove something that's very hot from the fire. course, you want to be careful not to catch your bandana on fire. Alright guys, something else to help keep you safe in the bush is a flashlight or a headlamp. With the 10 C's, it's known as your candle. But I carry a headlamp with me, which red has different modes, blue, they're used for different purposes. But in addition to carrying this headlamp, I also carry a whistle with me that has a flashlight. Never hurts to have more than one. So, flashlight, a backup flashlight, and extra batteries for your headlamp. These are items that I carry into the bush to practice. Alright, let's move on to the next item that I take into the bush with me each and every time to practice and help keep me. Alright guys, now again, staying safe in the bush, you're going to have to make repairs every now and then. Practice these repairs in the bush. Very, very simple. Those repairs are made with a spool of Gorilla Tape that I take with me each and every time. I've used this Gorilla Tape to put on my tarp when an ember has burned a hole in my tarp. You can use this for tinder, just by pulling some of it off, making smaller strips, and the edges are good for tinder. You can use this for first aid. You can put, if you cut yourself, you can put bandage or gauze around the cut, wrap this around the gauze. You can also use this for many purposes. Repairing your clothing. Make tear a hole in your pants, your shirt, sleeve or something. Just take a piece of tape, Gorilla Tape, and put over it. You will be amazed at how many things that you can use Gorilla Tape for. It's basically known as cargo in the 10 C's. But Gorilla Tape is something, and as you can see, I've used this before. There's still a lot of it here, but I definitely recommend Gorilla Tape goes with you into the bush each and every time to help keep you safe. Alright guys, let's move on to some more things that I take into the bush with me each and every time. But let me just say this, when I'm going into the bush again, I'm going specifically to practice. So I may take a lot more gear than what I have spoken about. But let's move on to the next item. Alright guys, something else that I carry into the bush each and every time is a canvas cell needle. Do I have a canvas tarp with me? No, I don't. But you know what I've done just to practice? I've actually stitched up clothes with a canvas cell needle and number 18 bank line. It works wonders. You can use this for numerous things, but again, I go into the bush to practice. It was great to take some number 18 bank line, thread it through the eye, and stitch up some clothing. So, guys, these are tools that I think are a necessity. These are the minimum that you should become very familiar with. Use muscle memory. These items I've mentioned, from cover to a cutting tool, combustion, container, cooking, compass for navigation, bandanas for cotton, first aid, your headlamp, gorilla tape, canvas needle. Each and every time I go into the bush, they go with me so that I can practice and stay safe. Now, again, this is the minimum. There's a lot more, and of course with your experience there's a lot less that you can carry, but I want to practice with everything I can. But now let's talk about some other things that are just as important and may not be something you have to have, but you do have to, guys. Something that is essential, very important, it's a must. That is a first aid kit. First aid kit, this first aid kit contains items for cuts, burns, insect bites, anything that is external. Gloves, tweezers, gauze, bandage tape. Customize your first aid kit for you. Now, this first aid kit is only one of my first aid kits. This is for external use only. I have another first aid kit for internal use. Tylenol, ibuprofen, anything of that nature that I have to ingest, it's in a separate bag. But this stays with me. It stays on the outer portion. I'm going to keep it in this red because if I need it or someone else does, it is going to be easily identifiable. Why? Stay safe. The next thing that I have here is a poncho. Is it going to rain each and every time I go? No. But this is another backup shelter. Or if it is raining and I have a shelter, I'm going to have a raincoat. Or if I'm trekking into the bush or coming out of the bush, I don't want my rucksack to get wet and the things to get wet. This poncho will cover it. I'm getting into items that I call luxury items now. This poncho. The next item, well, I'm not going to say it's a luxury item, but I think it's a must. Gloves, leather gloves. I highly suggest do not use a cutting tool without leather gloves. You do not want a simple cut to turn into a serious injury that may turn into a survival situation when it only takes a few seconds to put on a glove. Well worth its money tenfold. Oh, speaking of first aid, tourniquet. This tourniquet stays in my right cargo pocket. From the time I leave my residence until the time I return to my residence, my tourniquet stays in my right pocket, cargo pocket. Another thing that stays in a cargo pocket, it stays in my left cargo pocket, is a rain-proof notepad. Rain-proof notepad that I have a lot of things in. I basically, when I get to a location, I will always write down that location where I am. Street, name of the WMA, whatever. And I keep 2 pencils with me because pencils can be used as tinder as well, but it's always to have more than one. Notepad, pencils in a plastic bag stays in my left cargo pocket. Something else that goes with me all the time is trail tape. If I want to walk away and my bandanas are in use, trail tape. Great for signaling. You can put it on a large stick, wave it around. someone's going to see it. It goes with me each and every time I go into the bush. So guys, these are things that I highly recommend that you take with you, you practice, because again, your self-reliance, who's coming to help you in 3, 4, 5, or 10 minutes? You're on your own. Speaking of that, hey guys, something that's very, very important that I forgot to mention. Goes into the bush with me each and every time to help me stay safe. Toiletries. I'm just going to say toiletries. We all know the purpose of toiletries. The next thing that goes with me each and every time is liquid dish detergent. I wash my dishes each and every time I use them in the bush. You want to keep the smell of food away from animals, raccoons, possum, bears, and so forth. So, liquid dish detergent, as well as hand sanitizer. Again, also, hand sanitizer can be used as a fire starter, but hand sanitizer each and every time before you eat. Also, even if you're out there just for a day, have something to take care of your cutting tools. A file, a sharpener, and in my case, a sharpener to sharpen hooks, fish hooks as well, and to sharpen serrations. Each and every time I go into the bush, this goes with me to help keep me safe. Of utmost importance, footwear. We know there are wigglers in the bush. We just don't see them sometimes. I wear snake boots until it gets cold. These snake boots are waterproof. They come up just below my knee. So if I happen not to see a snake, I'm pretty safe. I feel pretty safe all the way up to my knees. So I recommend snake boots. Shout out to Bass Pro Shop. In the winter time, I want my feet to stay warm. So I wear rubber boots, very well insulated with wool socks. Footwear, very important. So guys, I just wanted to come on here and let you know these are items that go into the bush with me each and every time because I want to practice. I'm going to have this down to muscle memory because I know when I do an overnighter by myself, my contact is not coming to save me. It may be some time before the game warden gets to me, but this is why you prepare so that you can stay safe and enjoy Mother Nature / the bush. I hope this, and again, when I go into the bush, I'm not going to hike a mile into the bush. Time is very important. I want to spend my time practicing, becoming self-reliant in the bush. So again, guys, this is not camping. This is not hiking. This is not a day hike. This is going into the bush to practice. Also, when you're in the bush, there are things I'm going to start showing where I make things, make chairs, how you can actually make your own hammock from Mother Nature and paracord, making your tripods to cook over, just carving your own spoon. These are skills that are needed in the bush. And I think, in my opinion, the way you learn them is going into the bush, practicing practicing with your gear so that you can stay safe. With that, everyone, I hope this has been beneficial to you, and I'm going to see you in the bush basically with the same equipment. I think I'll throw this into my rucksack, and this will be with me in the bush. All right, guys, stay safe, everyone. This is the Virginia Bushcrafter signing out.